Hey guys, what's up? This is Boy16, and today I got a really good video for you guys. I'm going to be doing a video review of the DJI Mavic Mini. So, I got this drone because we live on 50 acres, and we have a bunch of cows that come on our property because we lease out our property for people, or for our neighbor to have his cows on it. So we have the cows, and then we have a bunch of pigs that keep going around and rutting everything up. So we're trying to hunt those. And we have an alligator in the front lake. So we want to see if we can get some good video of it to be from a safe distance. So that's why, one of the reasons why I got this drone. But another reason is because I've always wanted a DJI. And this is one of the most budget DJIs you can get. It is actually the most budget DJI you can get, but it is the DJI Mavic Mini, and what you get for what you pay for is amazing. I'll just say that right off the bat. So I already went through the liberty of undoing the box. I've flown this thing already, so I can give you a review of what it's like to actually fly it. But what it comes with in the box, and this is the Fly More combo. So it is the full set, and it comes with these, which are they're prop guards, which I'm not going to take them out of the box, but it does come with prop guards, and I think it has an illustration on, there it is, right there. It has an illustration of what they look like right there. But I like how they label everything in the box. Like, they'll label every single box that there is in here. So if you look in there, there's a box labeled with charging brick. That's where the charging brick would go, and then a box labeled battery. So they label every single one of their boxes, which is really useful. But go ahead and close this up. There you go. Sorry about the crappy camera work, but okay. So let's see, what should I do? Start it off on. Okay, there you go. Okay, there we go. So when you get the Fly More combo, you get this really nice hard shell case. And this isn't much big. This is honestly smaller than some lunch boxes, this case. And this holds absolutely everything except for the propeller guards. But this holds absolutely everything except for the propeller guards. So they give you this really nice case. It was already open. Oops. I'm an idiot. There you go. It was already open. But they give you this really nice case, and the drone fits in here. So this is the drone, and this, of course, is the controller. But I'm going to go ahead and take these out. So I'll take the controller out first and all that stuff. But you literally are able to store everything in here. These two boxes. This box is the spare propellers, which you get a full set of spare blades or spare props, or whatever you want to call those. You get the screwdriver to be able to get it out, because it does not use the easy lock system. You do have to unscrew these, which is a bit of a nuisance for some people, but honestly I don't care. I actually feel safer having these on there because they won't come off as easily, or if for some reason something were to go wonky, they wouldn't all just come off, like how on some of the ones with the easy lock, those can fail and then they can come off. But it's very uncommon for that to happen anyway. But I just prefer to have something that's screwed on and held in place by a screw. So, but you have those. You have a spare set of props, and I'll show you on the box here, a spare set of props. And I have my extra cables that go to my remote, and I'll show you what it has there in a minute. But it comes with the props, it comes with the screwdriver, it comes with 3 different types of cables for your phone to be able to communicate with your remote, because this is an app-based drone. I mean, you can fly it without the app, but you can't update the firmware, you can't do anything, and really you need a phone that can be able to communicate with it and download the DJI Fly app. But that's what this box has in it. Normally it just has the blades, but I put in my extra cables and then my screwdriver for the blades in there. And then in this box I have I would have my charging brick and my two mini USB charging cables that this comes with, that this kit comes with. So I'd have my 2 mini USB charging cables and the charging brick. So that's what that goes in there. And then this is the drone right here. So what's amazing about the drone is it is so light. But I hear people complaining about how it feels really cheap and crappy. Yes, it's lightweight and it has a plasticky feel to it, but this is not the El Cheapo plastic. This is a very, very flexible plastic. And I think it's made out of the same material that the bags that they ship all the stuff in is made out of, because those bags are really robust. Like, they can stretch really far, and they're really soft. They're a very soft plastic, like this is. Like, this is a very soft plastic, so it sounds really cheap and really crappy, but it's really not. And the reason they did that is because this is the ultralight, or it is an ultralight, so you do not need to register this with the FAA, depending on where you live, because it's under the weight limit. This is, by FAA standards, classified as a toy drone, so you don't have to register it or anything, but it depends on where you live. So, but this is a full DJI drone, and it is based off of the Mavic platform. A little bit different to the Mavic in the way it folds up, but it is still a Mavic Mini. So they did have to take some stuff out of this to be able to get it as light in comparison to the Mavic original, or the Mavic 2, or whatever you want to call those. Like, for instance, that this does not have forward collision sensors or rear collision sensors or anything like that. But it does have an optical flow sensor and ultrasonic sensors underneath for flying indoors and for altitude hold, or to help it hold its altitude. And it has a nice 3-axis gimbal, which I hear people complaining about this camera and saying it's really not the best quality of camera. Honestly, with how I've flown this and all that stuff, or what this drone is and how small it is and how convenient this thing is, this camera is more than acceptable in my opinion. Yes, it's a 4K camera that can only shoot in 2K video, or 2.7K video, but that's firmware based, or software based, and all that stuff. So if they wanted to, if DJI does do it in the future, they can update the firmware to be able to accommodate and allow you to use the full 4K. It takes 4K pictures and streams in 4K to your phone, but it doesn't shoot 4K to the SD card. Or maybe I have that backwards, but either way, people complain about this not being a full 4K camera. Honestly, for how little this drone is, it's really good. And the gimbal on this phone, or on this drone, sorry, the gimbal on this drone is a very, very smooth gimbal. Very smooth. When I'm flying it and all that stuff, I always noticed that it's like, some gimbals, they have a bit of jitter in them whenever it gets windy and all that stuff. This thing, I was flying it, and it had the actual warning come on for the high wind speed. It had a high wind speed warning come on, so, and I didn't even notice it was really all that bad until it gave me that warning saying that the wind speed was really high, or high speed warning, or something like that. So this gimbal really does dampen every movement of this drone. It's amazing just how smooth and precise this is. But you can see here, I'm going to put the drone down for a second here. I'm going to unfold it for you guys, give you a little bit of a view of it here. Put the camera down for 2 seconds. Bear with me. Okay, unfold that arm, unfold this arm, unfold the 2 rears. There we go. Takes literally no time at all to unfold it. And that is the full size of the drone. It is really small. Very small. So, let's just, here's a tablet for reference. That's it as a fully opened and fully assembled. So there's really no, this really takes up such a small footprint. My hand spread out is as big as this, or is as wide as this drone is. And when it's folded up, it's the same size as an iPhone. It's certainly thicker than an iPhone, but when it's folded up, it takes the same footprint as an iPhone, which is absolutely amazing. And if you notice, in this drone, there's a lot of openings. And the reason they have all these openings is because this doesn't have an active cooling system. Because that's how they reduce the weight. It doesn't have active cooling. So what it does is whenever you're flying it, air gets sucked up into it and then circulates around the inside of it to help cool off the processors and the battery and whatever else inside of here that gets warm. So a lot of the drones, like the Parrot Bebops, and I'm not sure if the GoPro Karma has it or not, but a lot of those drones have active cooling systems, meaning that they have a fan and a heat sink inside of the drone to cool off the processors. Because these things do have miniature computers in them. That's why these things are able to do active track and do all that kind of stuff, because they have an actual processor and kind of an OS inside of them. And that's why they can take firmware updates and software updates, because they have literally computers inside of them. So this does load the battery up from the back, and I'll actually go ahead and show you the battery, because this is something that you get with the Fly More combo as well, is the charging brick, that is the charging brick right there. And then this is the 3-bay battery charger. And what's really, really cool about these batteries and this charger is that they are incredibly smart. These batteries, for any drone that I've seen, are some of the smartest batteries that there are. Like, the drone can tell you, the drone knows if a battery's an original or a fake, and it won't let you fly with an aftermarket battery. So it has to be a DJI, but the reason they do that is for protection. Because a lot of aftermarket batteries do not have the control chip that's inside of these, which allows the batteries to store their own information. Like, these batteries will store their charge cycles, discharge cycles, and temperature readings of each flight. Well, not of each flight, but it'll store the milliamp hour or the amp hour capacitance or the amp hours that have been going through this battery. So it has a lifespan. These batteries do have a lifespan that they are able to track, and they'll let you know when it's time to get a replacement or something goes wrong with the battery, like temperature sensors. Like, it has a temperature sensor, so if the battery gets too hot, it will say on the drone, it'll say in the app, drone unable to fly, battery temperature too high or too low. And it will either restrict your flight or it will not let you fly at all for safety reasons, because this DJI, one of the main things that they do is safety when it comes to their drones. They do not want you to lose your drone because of something as simple as a battery failure, or something as simple as software being out of date. So they warn you every time that there's an update on the app. Look, there's an update, and it won't let you fly until you get the update, because they want it to be safe. So that's one thing that's one reason DJI is really good with their batteries and their software and their hardware, honestly. But the nice thing about this charging hub is it will charge all 3 of these batteries. And one thing I have heard so many people bickering about is that it takes 4 hours to charge, or 5 hours to charge, or something like that. Go ahead and unplug it because it just finished charging. People bicker about how long it takes for this to charge all 3 batteries at once. And they're like saying, oh, it doesn't charge them all at once, and all that stuff. Of course it doesn't charge them all at once, because these are intelligent batteries. So what it does is it will sense which battery needs the most charge, and it will start on that battery, and it will not do anything with the other 2 until that battery's finished. So it will charge that one battery all the way up, and then go to the next battery, charge it all the way up, and then go to the next battery, charge it all the way up. It individually charges each battery. Instead of charging them all in parallel or all in series, it individually charges each of them. And people complain about it being 5 to 6 hours to charge all these batteries. The reason that is because it's a safety measure. These batteries are going in a drone that costs $400. So they have to be good. And people keep saying, oh, well, I just want it to charge fast. The problem is, a lot of people that lose their drones because of power failures, it's because of the batteries being unbalanced or the batteries being damaged because they don't charge them correctly. This charger is one of the most intelligent chargers I've ever used, besides my IMAX B6. And the reason it is so smart is because it can tell the temperature, it can tell the voltage, it can tell the amp hours remaining in the battery, and it will charge accordingly. And one thing that a lot of people don't know is that the charger that it comes with is not just a straight USB. Yes, it works with USB, but this is a fast charger or a multi-voltage charger. So, let's see if I can get a view of it. So it'll charge at 5 volts, 3 amps, 9 volts, 2 amps, and 12 volts, 1.5 amps. And this charger makes use of all of those voltages, except for the 12 volts. I don't know if it uses the 12 volts, but maybe it does for something else. But it charges the batteries based off of how much capacitance they have. And you can charge it with a USB, and what it'll do is these lights, the indicator lights on here, if you give it a press, they show you the charge of each battery. They'll, depending on what you're using, if you're using just a regular USB, like an iPhone power brick or something, they'll blink slowly, charging upward. It'll just blink slowly, charging upward. But whenever you use something higher power, the more power that's going into this, the faster those lights flash. So it can tell you, it tells you how much power is actually going into it at once and how much power it's actually able to take based off of how fast these lights flash. And this charger is it's supposed to be rated for 17 watts or something like that. Where is it? I'm not exactly sure. 0.5 amps of current being drawn from the outlet. This charger is actually able to, or I've heard people say that's like rated for 18 watts or 17 watts. This charger puts out 20 watts whenever I was reading the peak power on this, because I wanted to see why this thing charges so fast. It draws 20 watts from the outlet. So it's putting a 1C charge into these batteries, which for those of you who are into batteries and know that, a 1C charge rate is the equivalent of you charging the battery at the same amp output or input as the battery is rated. So if the battery is rated for 2400 milliamps, which is what these are rated for, you'd be charging this battery at 2.4 amps of charge current. And that is the safest, or that is the highest safe amperage that you can charge a battery at before it will cause damage. And this charger knows that. So if you go and fly this, and then you finish flying it, and then you put it straight in the charger, it will charge very slowly until the battery cools off, or until that the charger can tell, okay, the battery is ready to accept a high charge current. That's what's really good about these chargers, and that's why I don't understand why people complain about it. If they were tied in parallel, it would still take 5 or 6 hours to charge this, because it's charging all of them at once. That's the thing people need to understand, is yes, it takes a long time to charge, but at the same time, it is taking care of each battery individually. So that's what honestly amazes me with these chargers, with this DJI charger, is that it takes such good care of its batteries, and the batteries are able to tell you what's wrong with them and all that stuff. Like if voltage is too low or current is too high, if they're unbalanced, it won't let you fly. Another interesting thing is that this charging base actually works as a USB power supply or a power bank. And when you have all of the batteries in there, there's 1400 milliamp hours, or not 1400, 14,000 milliamp hours in there. There you go, 14 amp hours of capacity. So 14 amp hour battery pack or power bank that can be used to fly a drone. That's pretty cool. I really like that DJI did that. That's a really unique thing that they did. So, but this lets you charge them all at once. It lets you see the capacity of each battery, because the batteries don't have a capacity gauge on them like the Mavic, the Mavic Air. I think maybe even the Spark has the indicator on the battery. But these are so stripped down when it comes to lighting or any kind of interface on the battery, that the drone has the LEDs on the bottom to be able to tell you what the battery life is at. But the batteries don't, because they've been stripped down of that to be able to save on weight, to be able to keep this within the ultralight spec, so that way it's able to fly correctly. Now the remote, a lot of people I've heard complain about this remote, and I don't know why. This remote is amazing. Yes, it is a stripped down version of the Mavic Air, the Mavic Pro, and all the other Mavics. And even the Spark has a remote that has a little bit more buttons on it than this does. But the reason they did that is because they are putting all their effort into the drone. That's the thing people need to understand. They're putting all their effort into the batteries, into the drone, and into the software and hardware. So they're going to have to make compromises on this kind of stuff. But they did not make a whole lot. Yes, they deleted those bumper or the customizable buttons on the bottom. And they don't have the speed select switch right there, but you can do that all through your phone. I personally love this remote. It being so stripped down and all that stuff, it's not distracting. That's what I like about it. It's not a distracting remote. And it's very simple, very easy just to pick up and fly with. And the app is where you have all that information that you want to be able to use, like your speed modes and all that stuff. But I really like this remote. And it's been a tried and true remote. They got this right from the get-go. And a lot of people have said that they got this right. It's a very comfortable remote to use. It's not super duper duper lightweight, but it feels like a premium product. That's what I'm saying. It's not heavy to the point where it's just stupid, but it has heft to it where it feels like a premium product, which this is. It's a very well-made remote. And it of course has its own internal battery, which unfortunately doesn't tell me what the capacitance of the battery inside of it is, which is weird, but oh well. So it does have the sticks that are stored in here. Let's see if you can see in there. Yeah, right there. That's one of the sticks right there. I have mine stored up in here because I leave it in the case all the time whenever I'm not flying it. But people were complaining about the sticks, like how they're not aluminum like the Mavericks or the higher end models and all that stuff. People complain about like that they're not metal. I mean, to be honest, they're just control sticks. Yes, they feel a little bit more premium if they're metal, but I've had no problem with the plastic ones that are on here. And honestly, these controls are so smooth, I've actually flown it without the sticks, just using it like a trackball, almost. I mean, it takes a bit of getting used to, but I was able to fly it just fine using just my thumb as a trackball, almost, with these. So, I mean, if you like having metal sticks, they do have the metal sticks that you can put on here. But for what they did from the package and all that stuff, they gave you quite a lot for what you paid for. To be able to give you all this technology, they did quite a lot. So I don't know why people rip on this drone so much when it comes to it being a toy or it being lame or being cheap. It's not a cheap drone. It's a very good quality drone. And I wouldn't say that if I didn't believe it. This drone has outperformed a lot of other drones I've seen. Even bigger drones that are within the same price point. It's outshined them. Because this has the technology. It has the thought put into it. It's just a lightweight drone. That's the only reason that it feels cheap, is that it's light. But they didn't skimp on their controller circuitry. They didn't skimp on their interface and all that stuff. And the people who are complaining about the Wi-Fi on this, there's no reason to. It can go 2 miles, which for a drone this little is plenty. I mean, yeah, people want to go more if they need to, but I mean, in reality, there's really no need to worry about that. I mean, you're going to lose sight of the drone way before it can get out, way before it gets out of its own range. So, anyway, I wanted to do a video on this because I absolutely love this drone. And I wanted to do something interesting because I haven't done a video in a long time. But I'm going to get some flight footage of this, and I'll do some screen capture and do a video of that, so you guys can see what it's like actually flying the drone and all that stuff. And I know there's a lot of videos of people already doing that, but I'll be able to do a screen capture of that, and then you'll be able to see what the app sees and all that stuff. So, anyways, oh, before I go, I do want to just mention that I would recommend that everyone does this, even if you are a advanced pilot or someone who knows how to fly these things really well, and I do, but I still put these on here just in case if, for some reason, I were to leave my controller somewhere, which I probably wouldn't. But definitely put something on the drone that lets people get in contact with you if, for some reason, it did lose control, or you did wreck it and you couldn't find it, or something like that. If someone did find it, go ahead and put something on there to be able to let people know, to be able to give them a way of contacting you if you lose it. So that is just one thing I recommend doing. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. Please don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. Stay cool, YouTube. Bye.